I'm Charla with Freezer Meals 101. Today we're making healthy snacks for the freezer. If you're a mom, then you know that keeping your kids fed in between meals can be just as challenging as actually feeding them dinner. Today I've got some ideas for you that should help with that. The first thing we're going to make is smoothie popsicles. Last week I made smoothie bags for the freezer, and I'll put a link up above to the video for that if you want to do that. Super great way to keep healthy food in the house and make it really accessible. So I just grabbed out one of the smoothie bags. This one's got Asian pears, kiwi, strawberry, rhubarb, some hemp hearts. I think that looks like about it. So just gonna toss that in the blender. Some of them I used spinach, used peaches, mangoes, bananas, all kinds of different fruits in there, and a few vegetables. So you can do a variety of things. And then the other thing that I made that day was these yogurt cubes. So I'm going to add one of the yogurt cubes into this just to make it smoother. And then you need 2 cups of liquid. So we had 3 cups of fruits or vegetables in our smoothie bag. Then we've got our yogurt cube, which you don't have to use at all, but it's just, I like the texture that it creates. And then you need 2 cups of liquid. So you can use juice or milk. You can use water too if you want. So today we're using milk. And then we're going to blend this up. It's going to be loud for a minute here. Maybe I can mute that when I edit the video. Now we're just going to spoon the smoothie mixture into some popsicle molds. And you want to press it down a little bit to get the air out. And then you'll just put the tops on your popsicles. These ones are like a good silicone mold popsicle, but the other ones over here, these ones are just like a cheap dollar store plastic popsicle mold, so it doesn't matter. They both work. The silicone ones are a little bit easier to get out, but it's these ones you can just run them underwater a little bit, run the bases underwater a bit and get them out. And then you'll pop these in the freezer and have healthy smoothie popsicles for your kids. So one of those blenderfuls will make over a dozen of this size popsicle. Depends on the size of your popsicle trays, of course. But I've made 10 here, and I'm left with enough to give 2 of my kids a small smoothie today. So I'm going to put these in the freezer, and that's it. The next thing we're going to make is just a simple zucchini loaf. It's a family favorite recipe. It's been around forever for us. Just read it to you, but I'll put the link to the recipe down below so you can grab the full recipe if you want. It's 1.5 cups flour, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, but I always put way more cinnamon because you can never get too much of that, right? Half a teaspoon baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg. Again, I always put more nutmeg than it calls for. And then you mix your dry ingredients in one bowl. And then in your wet ingredients bowl, I've got a cup of sugar, a 1/4 cup cooking oil, 1 egg, half a teaspoon lemon juice, and then I'm going to add some grated zucchini. So this is something where when I have neighbors or friends who have zucchini in their garden, or back when I used to grow my own, I just grate zucchini into 2-cup bags. And this recipe calls for 1 cup of grated zucchini, but I always use 2. I figure it can use the extra moisture, and then the kids are getting those extra veggies, and it never wrecks the recipe to use those 2 cups. So, and that way, if you freeze them in 2-cup bags, then if you've got recipes that call for 2 cups of zucchini, you can use it for that as well, or you can double a recipe that calls for 1 cup. So either way, if you freeze in 2-cup bags, then you're set. So I just realized as I was reading you the recipe that I forgot to add salt into my dry ingredients, so I'm going to grab that now. Okay, so now we should be set for those dry ingredients. Just give that a little mix. I'm gonna stir my wet ingredients, mix them together. But whenever you're making muffins or loaves, you never want to overmix. So you just want to mix it until it's combined, and then it's ready to go in. So I've greased my loaf pan here, and then I'll be putting that into a 350-degree oven for an hour-ish and checking to see when that's ready. Then I'll slice it once it's cooled and put the sliced zucchini loaf into a large freezer bag. And the reason that I slice it before freezing is that way we can just take out 1 slice at a time, or as many slices as we need. The next thing we're going to make are some no-bake energy balls. And these are awesome for having in the freezer, nice and healthy, packs a good energy punch. You can grab them on the way out the door for breakfast if you're running late, or they're a good after school snack, any of those things. So the nice thing too is you can customize them to what your family likes. So we're gonna start with 2 cups of old-fashioned oats. You can find the recipe for this below, just above the comments section. And then we're gonna do 1 cup of unsweetened coconut, 1 cup of peanut butter. Just push that out there. All of that off. And then I might as well put the honey in now. So this is 2/3 of a cup honey. Our honey is super healthy because we're fortunate enough to know someone that has hives, and they put one of the hives in our yard, so it's super local. And if you're using local honey, then you get the pollens from your area, and it's healthier for you. So we have lots of honey, which is wonderful, and it's nice and fresh. So that's the honey. And then we're doing 3/4 cup of ground flax seeds. That's this. And we're doing a 1/4 cup hemp hearts and a touch of vanilla. Now there's lots of things you can add in here. You could add nuts, chocolate chips. I found some dried cranberries when I was looking for the other ingredients today in my cupboard. So I'm just gonna use what I have. And we're using the chocolate chips later for the granola bars. So it's another reason I didn't want to use chocolate chips today. But you can use raisins, you can add chia seeds to these. If you'd rather sweeten them with agave than honey, you can do that. It's a really, really easy recipe to change up, and it's kind of a no-fail, which are the best kind. So I'm just giving this a quick stir. And then I will add in the dried cranberries. So I'm just gonna mix those dried cranberries in. This is what it's looking like. And to make it easier to form into balls, you want to put this in the fridge for half an hour. The nice thing is that since I'm making a lot of other freezer snacks today, I can be working on one of the other ones while this sits in the fridge, and that way I'm making the most of my time. So we're just gonna pop this in the fridge, and I'll be right back to start on the next thing. Okay, so the next thing we're just gonna quickly whip up today are some frozen yogurt cups. I like to use these silicone muffin trays because then they're easy to pop out. I just have some plain yogurt. You can use a flavored yogurt if you're wanting, or vanilla, whatever your favorite or your kid's favorite is. I like to use something that's a little bit more natural, just to keep it a little healthier. So just giving it a stir, and then you'll put some yogurt in your muffin cup, and then you can add some things in there. So today I'm gonna add blueberries, but I also thought that for some of them I would add in some of the things that I used in those energy balls that we just made, because I have them out anyway and they're healthy, and it's nice to just change things up a bit. So since it's sitting right here, I just thought I'd give it a try. Some of my kids love coconut, some of them hate it. I have no in-between kids on the coconut. So I won't be adding coconut to all of them, but I think that the kids that like coconut will really appreciate the ones that have coconut. Next, we're gonna make granola bars. We're gonna mix the dry ingredients first. So I've put in 5 cups of old-fashioned oats and 8 cups of Rice Krispies, and then because we had the hemp seeds and flaxseed out for the energy bites, I decided to throw some of those in there too. You can also throw in some pumpkin seeds or nuts if you'd like. Just gonna give this a quick stir. And then we're gonna go over to the stove and mix together some of the ingredients over there and let them come to a boil. So in our stovetop pot, we've got 1 cup of packed brown sugar and 2/3 of a cup coconut oil. We've got 3 cups of honey. Again, it's that really nice honey that we get right from the bees in our yard. And we're going to add 2 cups of peanut butter. I'm just gonna turn the burner on here. Now you can find the full recipe down by the comments below. I'll put a link there. And we're going to bring this to a boil. We're gonna add a little bit of salt here, and then that peanut butter. Got the 2 cups of peanut butter. Now that our mixture is boiled, you can see how much thinner it is. So it will spread much easier onto our dry mixture. Just gonna stir in some vanilla now that I've turned off the heat, and we will go and add it to the dry ingredients. Once you mix this together, you're going to let it sit for 5 minutes before you add it to your cookie sheet. Okay, so we let our granola bar mixture set for 5 minutes, and we are going to lay it out on our cookie sheets with parchment paper. So it doesn't have to be exact, just approximately half on each cookie sheet. Spread that out. Again, we're not looking for perfect. Now we're going to take another cookie sheet and just press it down on top. This helps flatten it. And we're going to do it to the next one. And yes, some of it will stick to the bottom of that cookie sheet. And then I'm going to add some chocolate chips. You don't need to add the chocolate chips. My kids obviously like them more and are more apt to eat them if I add the chocolate chips. You can also add nuts to this part. One of our daughters has an anaphylactic allergy to nuts, so you won't see me doing a lot of cooking with nuts. Just sprinkle some. Kind of want it to be somewhat even, so you're sure that every granola bar is going to get a few chocolate chips, but again, doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to toss those on there. And then you're going to grab your cookie sheet again, and we're going to do another press. We want to help secure those chocolate chips into the granola bars. Now, if you've got kids, particularly boys or active girls, this is a step, the pressing down of the cookie sheet, that they love to help with. So make sure you grab them and get their help. Now you want to get these trays into the fridge pretty quickly before the chocolate chips all melt. Once those granola bars cool a bit, then I'll cut them and I will put them still on the parchment paper into the freezer once they're cut. That way they'll freeze in the right shape. And then once they're frozen, I'll transfer them into a large freezer bag or several large freezer bags. The reason that I do it like that is then they won't stick together if you freeze them flat once they've been cut first before you put them in the freezer bags. That way it's really easy to grab out just one at a time. So now we can finish our energy balls. I'm going to put parchment paper down again on my cookie sheet. That part's not necessary, but it just makes cleanup easier again. So now we're going to shape our energy balls. I'm using a cookie scoop just so that the sizes stay uniform, but you can just grab them out with your hands if you prefer. You're going to have to shape them with your hand anyway, because if you use just the cookie scoop, they don't hold together well enough. You really have to squish them with your hands to make sure they maintain their shape. So you just want to make a little ball like that, and then we're going to put them again on parchment paper on a tray, and then we're going to freeze them. Once they're frozen, then we can transfer them either to a plastic container with a lid or into a large resealable freezer bag. That way, because they've been frozen flat first, they won't stick together when people are grabbing just one as they're heading out the door or grabbing a snack. Now, I don't know about your kids, but my kids seem to be hungry all the time. And as they get older, it seems like they're hungry, especially late into the evenings. So it's really nice to have snacks on hand. I find that way that they don't raid the things that I'm needing to use for meals. And some of our kids are homeschooling, so they're home all day, and when they're kind of snacking all throughout the day or when they're grazers, then you really need to have a lot on hand. So the next time that I do snacks for the freezer, I'll be doing ones that are more kid-friendly and a little less healthy. They won't be completely not healthy, but they'll just be more kid-friendly, like our mini corn dog muffins that are a huge hit with the kids. And after that video is done, I'll put the link in near the comments below. If you're looking for more freezer meal ideas or ideas to feed your kids, you can subscribe here to me on YouTube. And I'm always coming up with new videos and new ideas to help you get your family fed as inexpensively and easily as possible. So the energy balls are freezing in a single layer in the freezer, and the granola bars are in the fridge, probably about ready to be cut up. So I'm just popping these frozen yogurt snacks out of their silicone tray. So easy with the silicone tray because you can just press on the bottom and they pop right out. And I'm transferring them to a large freezer safe bag. That way they won't get freezer burnt, plus they'll take up a lot less space in your freezer than keeping them in the muffin tin trays. Another way that you can use these frozen yogurt snacks is to have them in the morning with granola. It's also great if your yogurt is close to expiring. That way nothing goes to waste, and you can use it up and freeze it, and then it'll keep for up to 3 months. That's it. We've got 5 different healthy snacks for the freezer, and they are all set for the kids to grab for snacks or lunches. And I'm not going to pretend like it took me 10 minutes to do. We're talking about quite a few hours here, and the kitchen kind of looks like a bomb went off in it. There's a lot of dishes, but I do have the dishwasher running right now, and I will keep at it. I've kind of been cleaning as I went, so it's actually not too bad, but I do have a bit of cleanup ahead of me. But this is going to come in so handy, and I'll be really glad I did this. So the next freezer snack video I'm going to show you guys is more kid-friendly freezer snacks, so be sure to tune in for that. Thanks for joining me, and hit subscribe if you're looking for more freezer meal ideas. Bye guys, happy cooking!